Hi there, Malcolm here with my 271st Booktube video, and today we're bringing you a review for The Legend of Luke by Brian Jacks. This is part of the Redwall series, book 12 I believe. And the Redwall series is set in a fantasy world with anthropomorphic animals of indeterminable size, which are generally split into two main groups: the predatory carnivores, who are generally the villains, and the herbivores / omnivores, which are the nicer, friendlier creatures on the whole. And the stories generally centre around Redwall Abbey, where these lovely creatures live and spend their days eating an excessive amount of food, and occasionally they go on an adventure. Now, Redwall Abbey itself was set up by Martin the Warrior, the mouse in the blue jacket there, and we either have stories around him or we have stories of generations later where his legacy directs the champions of the future. I'm reading these chronologically as they were published, however each one is set either during, before, after, much before, back during, and so to be honest it doesn't really matter which order you read these in because you're going to jump all over the place anyway. Now, enough preamble. This story is about Martin's father, Luke. Having taken the building off some wildcats in Mossflower, Martin is overseeing the construction of Redwall Abbey when a travelling hedgehog turns up with stories about Luke the Warrior, and Martin realises that this Luke must be his father. And so him, the hedgehog, and a bunch of other animals go on an adventure to where Martin was born to try and find out what happened to Martin's dad. And the story is told in three main chunks. The first chunk is the adventure to go and find Martin's dad, or find out what happened to him. And eventually they reach this place depicted on the front cover here, the Arf ship, aboard which live a bunch of elderly animals who were friends of Luke the Warrior. Which moves us into the second chunk of the story, where we have them recounting Luke's tale, where Luke and his friends fall foul of the vicious pirate stoat Vilu Daskar, who descends on them while they're celebrating the birth of Martin, and Martin's mother is killed, amongst many, many others. Luke vows his revenge, so him and his surviving friends, new and old, go on a quest to track down, across the seas, this stoat. And the story goes until the ship ends up lodged in the rocks, and we jump back to Martin and co as they take in what they've learnt and then head off home again. So in a way this is almost like two shorter stories in one, because both stories are, apart from the generational link, completely dissociated to each other. Martin's story is a travel one. Yeah, they'd be set by bandits and other rogues, as well as making some friends along the way. And what's quite nice in the third part, when they head off home again with all these friends they've made and the people they found on the Arf ship itself, they're able to reunite friends and families to the various bands living in Mossflower Wood on their return journey, and the whole host end up back at Redwall for a great big feast, which is generally how these books end. You know, there's no great villain. Occasionally they come across bandits, but it's very much a travel story. And then you get Luke's story, where you have the typical Redwall villain, in this case Vilu Daskar, and his band of cutthroat bad guys who are, you know, rats, ferrets, stoats, and the like. Yeah, so obviously Luke's story was more compelling, is that there was a villain to overcome. And I've said this in previous reviews for Redwall books. Yes, you've got cute fluffy creatures on the front cover here, but some of the stuff that happens is pretty vicious. And there's one scene particularly after the ship that Luke's on is attacked by Vilu Daskar's ship. In the search for survivors, one survivor is found literally impaled on a piece of broken wood. Yeah, stuff like that. So I really got engrossed in that one. Of course, when that story came to its conclusion, we jumped back to Martin and friends. I had to quickly sort of, oh yes, who are all these people again? Oh yes, that was the hedgehog, that's the mole, oh that's the mad otter. Because it's been so long since we met all these characters in the first third of the book. And the characters we won't see again until we get to the third chunk. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I don't think it's the best of the series, but it was a nice, not necessarily origin story for Martin, because we've already had an origin story for Martin in Martin the Warrior and Mossflower. So a lot of Martin has already been told. But to see where Martin came from and where his famous sword came from, but you know, learn a bit more about his past. So that was quite nice. Yeah, worth buying. I just wish it didn't take me over a week to read it. So, have you read any Redwall books? If so, what's your favourite one? What's your favourite era? Which are your favourite animals? And I ask that because each species has their own way of talking. You know, the hares are very, very British. What you cad, sir? Whereas the moles have a lot less refined diction, and sometimes I have to read it a few times to understand what it is they are saying, and various accents all through between as well. So it's very entertaining to read this one out aloud, if ever you get the opportunity. So yeah, which is your favourite creatures? I do like the hares. I think they're quite fun. Feel free to comment down below, but as usual, if nothing nice to say, then please keep it to yourself. Thank you. Don't forget to like, subscribe and other YouTube things if you want. Until next time, see you later.